Yes, the trick I'm using for getting the legs is at the beginning or end of a row, of one of those half rows, I would increase the stitch, but then I would take either the second stitch from the beginning, like the brand new increased stitch, if it was at the beginning of the row, or the second to last stitch if it was the end of the row, and put it on the stitch holder. I don't remember why I decided to do it exactly like that. I think it was something to do with trying to keep the bobby pin away from the place where I was going to be tying pieces of string together. But I'm not completely sure. And yes, when or if I workshop this pattern for other people to make, I will do my best to simplify it. It is not going to be simple. I mean, come on. This is a panther. This is a six-legged panther with two long tentacles springing from its neck. It is not going to be an easy pattern, but I would at least simplify it. Because this is just ridiculous. I don't know why I decided to make it this way. Especially since I do have a method of sewing pieces together that helps me to hopefully not waste quite as much yarn as I have in the past. It is basically not cutting the yarn at all, pulling out from the skein way more than I need, and then sewing down each side carefully, finding the end of where I need to sew, tying the yarn, and then tightening the stitches back the other way. Oh, I was actually very happy when I reached this point of the project. It was finally starting to look like something rather than a scraggly piece of fabric, and yes, I was able to give him his little safety nose, and I turned a few stitches around because they weren't quite the way around I wanted them to be in order to move back the other way and make the belly, the ventral side. Yes, it's dorsal, ventral, and lateral. I'll be honest, if I were to go back in time and redo this, I would have put the nose a tiny bit farther north on the face because it's a little low. But once the backs are on, I can't change it, and I have to just deal with it. And I am very happy with how it's finally starting to come together. And yes, and now I'm putting in the safety eyes. I think that's what I'm doing. No, but that was the nose. And I am positioning the eyes, or trying to. I wasn't going to put the backs onto the eyes until I'd gotten a little further away from the head. There's that little nose. I'm not sure I'm happy with where I place the eyes either. They might be a little bit derpy, but it's fine. And there's going to be a few time jumps. I stuffed the head, as you can see. And, yep, you can see there was definitely a time jump. Now I'm stuffing the body. I had already stuffed the head off camera. It was easier to try to poke stuffing around all of those little safety eye and safety nose shafts off camera. I'm just making sure it's a nice, chubby little kitten. Yeah, it's a displacer beast that's about the size of a rat. But I don't mind. I am trying not to lose stuffing. Oh, and I'm using nearly that exact same technique to put stitches from the belly onto the leg bobby pins. Here it is all closed up. At this point, I am going to make the legs. And this is where I broke out the double-pointed needles. I think I had done 5 stitches per leg, except for one pair, which was 6. I don't know. Consistency was not completely there when I was getting the stitches for the legs. I was doing my best, but I was also rather distracted. This is during the holiday season. Now, I was trying a new method of joining yarn onto a project, because the one thing that I was always a little bit hesitant about doing was attempting to sew the yarn through onto the piece and then tie a knot. That always seemed a little clunky. So I have picked up a new method I'm going to try to use from here on out. I think I'd show it a little bit better later on, even if it is going extremely fast, so it's harder to see. Where I make a slip knot, put that onto my needle that has already been placed knitwise, and then I just take that knitwise placed stitch up and over the stitch holder, and there it is. I then have to, when I get back around to it, knit through that stitch as well as the slip knot at the same time, just to make sure that it is secure and there isn't too big of a gap. But it's not that big of a deal. And I do like that method, although I will have to refine it exactly how it works. Okay, this is going to be the place where I have a lot of time jumps just because there are 6 legs and some of them are easier to make if they're off camera. I do put a little stuffing into each of the legs. Not a lot, just a little. You can see I've got 3 legs done and the 4th is mostly done.